This story is titled, "My Girlfriend Said I Was Too Boring and Left Me for My Best Friend." A year later, she showed up at my wedding as the caterer. I had a special dish prepared just for her. You know what's really boring? Having your girlfriend of 3 years tell you you're too boring while she's packing her bags to move in with your best friend. Really spices up an otherwise dull Tuesday evening. I'm Jake, 31M, and according to my ex Rachel, 29F, I'm about as exciting as watching beige paint dry in an accountant's office. Which is funny, because I'm actually a pediatric surgeon. You know, just saving kids' lives, no big deal. Totally boring stuff. You're just so predictable, Rachel said, stuffing her collection of true crime books into a box, because apparently, reading about serial killers is more exciting than dating someone who literally holds beating hearts in their hands. When's the last time we did something spontaneous? Well, last week I had to spontaneously remove a Lego man from a kid's nose. I offered. He'd named it Gerald and didn't want to part with it. She just rolled her eyes. Meanwhile, my best friend, ex-best friend, Matt, 30M, was waiting outside in his adventurous 2010 Toyota Corolla. Because nothing says excitement like a used car with a check engine light that's been on since Obama's first term. The real kicker? Matt's an accountant. An actual accountant. But he rides a motorcycle on weekends and has a tattoo of a dragon. Well, it's supposed to be a dragon. Looks more like a lizard with indigestion. But apparently that's enough to qualify as spontaneous these days. Matt gets me, Rachel explained, trying to fit her healing crystals into her overflowing suitcase. He understands that life is about taking risks. He does our taxes with 4 different calculators, just to be sure. At least he suggests fun date ideas. Going to Renaissance fairs dressed as historically inaccurate Vikings is your definition of fun. But you can't argue with someone who's already mentally picked out her Viking wedding dress. So I watched them drive off into the sunset after Matt checked his tire pressure and updated his insurance. Because safety first, right? I spent the next few months being boringly successful at my job, boringly buying a new house, and boringly meeting the actual love of my life, Emma, 28F, who thinks saving children is slightly more impressive than knowing how to say huzzah in Old English. Life was good. Boring, but good. Then came the wedding planning. Emma and I wanted something simple, elegant, and drama-free. We hired the best caterer in town, the Golden Platter, without really checking who owned it. Big mistake. Huge. Because guess who bought the company 6 months ago and would be personally overseeing our wedding menu? That's right. Rachel, I need more excitement. Johnson, now proud owner of the Golden Platter and apparently a certified culinary artist. Because nothing says, I found myself, quite like arranging canapes into Instagram-worthy patterns. But you know what's not boring? Revenge served at exactly 165 degrees Fahrenheit. Let me paint you a picture of the exact moment my soul left my body. I'm sitting in the Golden Platter's waiting room, flipping through their portfolio, when Rachel walks in looking like Martha Stewart's evil millennial sister. You know that moment in horror movies when the protagonist realizes they're totally screwed? Yeah, multiply that by my ex-best friend's dragon tattoo. Jake? Oh my god, her voice hit that pitch that makes dogs howl in neighboring states. You're getting married? How predictable. Fun fact, did you know it's possible to grip a wedding planning binder so hard it actually screams? Because I'm pretty sure mine did. Emma, bless her heart, had no idea about the nuclear bomb of awkward she just walked into. Your work is amazing. I follow you on Instagram. That gravity-defying champagne fountain you did last week? Incredible. I tried sending telepathic warnings. Honey, no? That's my ex. The one who thought saving children wasn't as exciting as Renaissance Fair roleplay. We have to book you. Emma continued, completely missing my face doing the universal expression for please stop talking. Oh, I don't know. Rachel twirled her hair, pretending to check her schedule. We're pretty booked up. We'll find another caterer. I jumped in. Maybe someone who doesn't have a history of running off with their clients' best friends. Emma's head whipped around so fast I heard vertebrae crack. This is the Rachel? The one and only. Rachel beamed, like being known as a homewrecker was some sort of achievement. Though technically, Jake, Matt, and I didn't work out. He was too adventurous. I couldn't help it. I laughed so hard I actually snorted. The man who triple checks his grocery list was too adventurous? What happened? Did he buy generic brand cereal instead of name brand? He wanted to go skydiving. Without checking the weather forecast first. Emma was watching this exchange like it was a tennis match played with hand grenades. Jake, honey, can we talk privately? In the hallway, Emma laid it out. Listen, I know this is awkward. Awkward? Honey, this is like having a root canal performed by your ex while they critique your life choices. But she's the best in the business. Have you seen her reviews? Her waiting list is 6 months long. So is the list of people who want to punch her in the face, but you don't see me joining that queue. Okay, that's a lie. I'm definitely on that list. Jake. Emma took my hands. This is our wedding. We can't let your past drama affect our perfect day. Besides, a mischievous smile crossed her face. Don't you think it's a little poetic? Having the woman who called you boring witness just how exciting your life has become? I looked at my beautiful, brilliant fiancée, who apparently had a streak of evil genius I hadn't noticed before. You're not just booking her to spite her, are you? Of course not. Emma's eyes sparkled. I'm booking her because she's the best. The spite is just a delicious bonus. Like one of her famous chocolate ganache truffles. Back in Rachel's office, she was already drafting up contracts. I suppose I could squeeze you in. Though my usual rate has increased. Money's not an issue, Emma said sweetly. Jake's boring job as a pediatric surgeon pays quite well. And that, dear readers, is how I ended up hiring my ex-girlfriend to cater my wedding. But here's a little secret between us. Emma might think she's got the perfect revenge planned, but she hasn't seen what I've got cooking. Because while Rachel's busy planning her Instagram-worthy menu, I'm planning something special. Something that would make even Matt triple-check his calculations. Let's just say boring people have the best revenge ideas. We've got a lot of quiet time to think. I have to admit, watching Rachel actually do her job was like witnessing a shark learn synchronized swimming. Elegant, precise, and somehow still terrifying. She transformed our venue's tasting room into what looked like a Michelin-starred restaurant had a baby with a Pinterest board. The rosemary lamb will be served with a mint-infused reduction, she explained to Emma, who was practically vibrating with excitement. And for the vegetarians, we have a wild mushroom risotto that will make them question their life choices. I sat there thinking how weird it was seeing Rachel actually being competent. The woman who once burned microwave mac and cheese was now discussing wine pairings like she'd been born with a silver corkscrew in her hand. Emma's phone buzzed. Her sister was having some crisis about the bridesmaid dresses. Apparently, sage green is nobody's color. Who knew? As she stepped out to handle World War bridesmaid, I found myself alone with Rachel for the first time since the great boring exodus of 2023. Look, I said, keeping my voice neutral, like I was talking to a particularly unstable patient's parent. Let's not make this into a whole thing. No drama, no games. Just do your job, make Emma happy, and we can all go back to pretending the other doesn't exist. Rachel tilted her head, giving me that smile that used to make my heart race, but now just made my anxiety medication kick in. Oh, Jake. Still trying to control everything, still trying to keep everything boring. It's called being professional. You should try it sometime. It's what actual adults do. You know what your problem is? She leaned in, her voice dropping to a whisper. You think life is all about staying in the safe lane, following the rules. But sometimes, she straightened a fork that was already perfectly aligned. Sometimes the most exciting things happen when everything goes a little wrong. My stomach did that thing where it feels like you've missed a step going downstairs. Is that a threat? A threat? God, no. She laughed, but it didn't reach her eyes. It's a promise. Your wedding won't be boring, Jake. I can promise you that. And then Emma was back, talking about how sage green had been diplomatically replaced with mint. Apparently there's a difference, and Rachel was all smiles and professionalism again. But I knew that look. It was the same look she had right before she spontaneously redecorated my apartment while I was at work. Pro tip, never trust someone who thinks leopard print is a neutral. You know what's funny about working in pediatric surgery? You develop a really good sense for when someone's about to do something stupid and destructive. Usually, it involves Legos and nostrils, but sometimes it involves your ex-girlfriend and your wedding catering. I pulled out my phone and texted Emma. We need to talk about Plan B. Because if there's one thing this boring guy has learned, it's that you always have a backup plan. Especially when your ex-girlfriend is smiling like she just auditioned for the role of wedding-themed supervillain. Ever played chess with a rattlesnake? That's what the week before our wedding felt like. Emma and I had planned for everything. Backup caterers on speed dial, food tasters worthy of medieval royalty, and enough Plan BS to fill an alphabet. We even had a guy named Steve whose only job was to watch the cake. Steve took his job very seriously. Like, restraining order seriously. The wedding day arrived, and everything was perfect. The venue looked like Pinterest had made sweet love to Architectural Digest. The food was actually incredible. Rachel's beef Wellington could make Gordon Ramsay weep tears of joy. Even the champagne fountain didn't collapse and drown any elderly relatives. Maybe we were wrong. Emma whispered during our first dance. Maybe she's actually being professional. Oh, honey, that's like saying maybe the killer in a horror movie just wants to discuss property values. It started subtly. A whisper here, a concerned look there. One of the waiters, who had that "I'm definitely being paid extra for this" look, started telling guests about seeing me rush out of the bathroom looking green around the gills. Poor guy. I overheard him say something about bad shellfish, but he insisted on continuing with the reception. First of all, I'm a surgeon. If I had food poisoning, I'd be diagnosing myself faster than WebMD could say terminal cancer. Second, I hadn't even been to the bathroom yet because I was too busy watching Rachel like a hawk watching a particularly suspicious mouse. Then came the piece de resistance. The lamb. Oh God, the lamb. You know that scene in nature documentaries where they show a dead whale decomposing on the ocean floor? That smell would have been an improvement. The moment the covers came off the serving trays, 300 people simultaneously regretted having noses. Oh my. Rachel rushed over, the picture of professional concern. The refrigeration unit must have malfunctioned. How could this happen? A waiter, definitely on her payroll, piped up. Well, when we saw the groom going into the kitchen earlier, I nearly choked on my champagne. I haven't been anywhere near the kitchen. But sir, another waiter joined in. Seriously, where was she finding these people? Evil waiters are us. We all saw you. Right after you came out of the bathroom looking so unwell. The whispers started. Guests were connecting imaginary dots faster than a conspiracy theorist with a Red Bull addiction. Food poisoning, bathroom visits, kitchen access, bad meat. It was like watching a game of Clue where I was somehow both the victim and the accused. Rachel stood there, managing to look both professionally mortified and secretly delighted, like a cat who'd just figured out how to open the canary cage. Don't worry, she announced to the increasingly nauseated crowd. We have backup entrees. Though perhaps, she glanced at me with fake concern, we should have them tested first, given the circumstances. I looked at Emma, who was maintaining her calm with the kind of steel that makes me glad she's on my side. She gave me the tiniest nod. Because here's the thing about being boring and predictable. It means nobody expects you to have your own revenge plan already in motion. And Rachel? She'd just activated our trap card. Remember Steve, our cake guard? Turns out he had other duties too, like installing cameras. Everywhere. Game on, Martha Satan. Game on. You know what's really boring? Quietly documenting health code violations while your wedding reception turns into an episode of Kitchen Nightmares, Ex-Girlfriend Edition. I actually expected this day to be mind-numbingly normal. The most exciting thing should have been Aunt Martha having one too many champagnes and telling everyone about her cats. Instead, I'm watching my guests whisper about my supposed explosive bathroom adventures while trying not to gag on odor-rotting lamb. Did you hear? The groom, bathroom. Kitchen, suspicious. Poor Emma. My dad appeared at my elbow, glass of scotch in hand, looking like he was remembering exactly why he never liked Rachel. What a bitch, he muttered, taking a sip. Tell me you're not letting her get away with this. I gave him my best boring smile. Dad, when have I ever been that exciting? Here's the thing about being called boring for 3 years. You learn to use it as a superpower. While Rachel was playing chess, I was playing the long game. Every camera, every food sample, every random health inspection report we'd requested during preparation. It was all documented with the methodical precision of, well, a surgeon. Emma and I smiled through the reception, dancing to our song while the whispers swirled around us like toxic smoke. We thanked our guests, accepted their concerned looks, and played our parts perfectly. Because the best revenge isn't served hot or cold. It's served through proper legal channels with extensive documentation. You know, Emma whispered during our last dance, this will be the talk of the neighborhood for months. Boring people like us letting a respected catering company serve spoiled food? Shocking. The health department's annual review is next week. What a completely random and unrelated fact, honey. 3 days after our wedding, the Golden Platter received a surprise visit from the health department. They had received an anonymous tip, complete with video evidence of staff deliberately tampering with refrigeration units, timestamped security footage of kitchen violations, and documented samples of spoiled food being intentionally served. Rachel's face when the inspectors walked in was almost worth the price of the ruined reception. Almost. But the groom was in the kitchen, she spluttered as they went through their checklist. Interesting, said the lead inspector, reviewing our footage. Because according to these security cameras, the only person entering the kitchen unauthorized was you, Miss Johnson. At 3:47 p.m., specifically carrying what appears to be non-refrigerated meat. The best part? The whispers in the neighborhood changed pretty quick. Turns out people love a good story about karma more than they love a story about food poisoning. The Golden Platter's Instagram-worthy reputation? Not so golden anymore. Rachel lost her catering license, her business, and her influence in the industry. All because she thought the boring guy wouldn't think to install security cameras and collect evidence. My dad called me after the news broke. That was cold, son. Calculated. Methodical. Almost boring, right? Precisely boring. I'm proud of you. Because here's what Rachel never understood. Boring people make the best revenge planners. We're patient. We're thorough. And we always keep our receipts. Though I do feel a little bad about Steve, our cake guard. He got so invested in his role that he's now pursuing a career in professional cake security. Follow your dreams, Steve. 2 weeks after the Golden Platter's spectacular fall from grace, my phone rang. Rachel's name flashed on the screen like a warning sign for an incoming natural disaster. You boring, vindictive bastard. Hello to you too, Rachel. Having trouble with the health department. You destroyed my business. My reputation. Do you know how long it took me to build my Instagram following? I put the phone on speakers so Emma could enjoy the show. Rachel's voice had hit that special pitch that probably had dogs in the next county filing noise complaints. My life is ruined. All because you couldn't take a little wedding day drama like a normal person. A little drama? You served spoiled meat to 300 people. That's not drama. That's a potential class action lawsuit waiting to happen. It was just a prank. Nobody actually got sick. Because we caught it in time. Speaking of which, I've been meaning to call you about our refund. The screech she let out probably registered on seismic monitors. Refund? Well, yes. We paid for edible food. What we got was biological warfare with a side of attempted character assassination. Our lawyer thinks we have an excellent case for compensation. Your lawyer? Oh, didn't I mention? We're suing for the full cost of the catering plus damages. Turns out courts take a pretty dim view of deliberately serving spoiled food at events. Who knew? There was a moment of silence on the other end. Then, in a voice dripping with venom, you wouldn't dare. Actually, I already did. Check your email. Though fair warning, the attachments might be a bit boring. Just a few hundred pages of documentation, witness statements, and health code violations. This isn't over, she hissed, right before hanging up. Emma looked at me with that mix of pride and mild concern I'd come to love. You really did file the lawsuit. Filed it this morning. But that's not even the best part. See, while Rachel was having her meltdown, I'd been busy doing something truly diabolical, telling the truth on social media. Every detail, every piece of evidence, all posted with the kind of precise, factual boringness that makes it impossible to dispute. Hashtag wedding catering horror started trending locally. Then the local news picked it up. Turns out people really love a story about an Instagram-famous caterer serving spoiled food at her ex's wedding. The comments were, "Chef's kiss. OMG, I was about to book them for my wedding. This is why you don't mix business with exes. Imagine being so petty you risk food poisoning 300 people." Rachel's carefully curated social media empire crumbled faster than her overpriced soufflés. Every time she tried to defend herself, someone would post screenshots of the health department report. The final nail in her professional coffin? Matt, yes, that Matt, my ex-best friend, actually reached out to confirm the story. Apparently, she'd bragged to him about her plan beforehand, and he had the text to prove it. I always knew she was crazy, he messaged me. Should have stuck with boring. So here we are. Rachel's business is dead, her reputation is in shambles, and she's facing both civil and potentially criminal charges. All because she thought the boring guy wouldn't fight back. But you know what they say, revenge is a dish best served with proper legal documentation and a strong social media strategy. Though I still feel kind of bad about those guests who had to smell that lamb. Maybe I'll send them all gift cards to a nice restaurant. A nice, boring restaurant. With excellent health code ratings. The lawsuit ended exactly how you'd expect when one party has meticulous documentation and the other has, well, an Instagram aesthetic and a grudge. The judge took one look at our evidence and basically said, yeah, this is going to be a boring case, which, honestly, was the nicest compliment he could have given me. Rachel had to pay back every cent of the catering costs, plus damages. Turns out deliberately serving spoiled food at a wedding because you're bitter about your ex being boring doesn't play well in court. Who knew? Her business collapsed faster than a chocolate soufflé in an earthquake. The Golden Platter's Instagram account, once filled with artfully arranged food pics and inspirational quotes about living life to the fullest, now only showed desperate attempts to rebrand. Under new management, doesn't quite hit the same when everyone knows the old management tried to commit culinary terrorism. Rachel called me 17 times over the next month. I ignored 16 of them because, I'm boring like that. But the 17th? I picked up, partly out of curiosity, partly because I was literally in the middle of a boring activity, organizing my sock drawer. Hello, Rachel. Having trouble with Yelp reviews. How could you do this to me? Her voice cracked like cheap wedding china. My whole life's work. You mean your 6-month-old business that you bought with Gerald's alimony money? I had followers. Influencer deals. Do you know how hard it is to get free vanilla beans from Madagascar? Probably about as hard as it is to get food poisoning at your own wedding. Oh wait, she made this sound. Imagine a tea kettle having an existential crisis. I wanted to show you what you missed out on. Show you how exciting life could be. By serving rotten lamb to my elderly relatives? Wow, I really missed out on some quality excitement there. Could have had a whole new career defending wrongful death lawsuits. You're enjoying this, aren't you? This boring, methodical destruction of everything I built. Actually, yes. It's been very exciting. Though not as exciting as watching your lawyer's face when we showed him the footage of you personally tampering with the refrigeration unit. That was Emmy-worthy. I hate you. That's fair. I'd hate me too if I were you. But you know what the really funny part is? What? She spat. If you'd just been boring, actually done your job professionally, you'd still have your business. Still have your Instagram followers. Still be getting those free vanilla beans from Madagascar. But you just had to make things exciting. Silence. Then a whisper. I really fucked up, didn't I? Spectacularly. Though very excitingly. So, mission accomplished. She hung up. Very dramatically, I assume. The aftermath? Well, Emma and I used the settlement money to take an extremely boring honeymoon. Just lying on a beach, drinking boring cocktails, being boringly in love. No food poisoning, no drama, not a single Instagram post. Matt sent me a Christmas card, because apparently, that's what he does now. The dragon tattoo is truly a lie. He'd heard about Rachel's downfall and wrote, "Guess boring guys finish first." He also included a $50 gift card to a very reliable, very boring steakhouse chain. I appreciate the irony. As for Rachel, last I heard, she's trying to rebrand herself as a crisis management consultant. Because nothing says, hire me to manage your crisis, quite like, I deliberately caused a crisis at my ex's wedding because he was too boring. The best part? Every time someone in our city Googles wedding catering, they find the story of the golden platter's spectacular fall. My boring, methodical revenge has become the gift that keeps on giving. Emma thinks it's hilarious. She framed the court judgment and hung it in our home office, right next to my medical degree. Says it's proof that I can actually be exciting when properly motivated. Though personally, I think there's nothing more exciting than being boring enough to play the long game. Because at the end of the day, while Rachel was busy planning her dramatic revenge, I was quietly planning her complete destruction. With proper documentation, of course. And you know what they say, living well is the best revenge. But living boringly while watching your ex lose everything because she couldn't handle boring? That's priceless. Though I do kind of miss Steve, our cake guard. He sends us quarterly reports on cake security trends. Now that's what I call exciting.